This could be one of the most important videos I do for some of you because it's come to my attention that a lot of times many of you you're showing that you have very warped ideas about body image and about self-image. So take for instance this email. Tracy writes, I lost weight successfully, 87 pounds. Congrats, good job. But I'm tired of the smaller version of me. How do I get rid of skinny fat? How do I get rid of this fupa around my waist? And for those of you who don't know, a fupa is a little right above your genital area, a little bit of a pouch, a little bit of a coin purse where your body starts to lose its elasticity and you have a little bit of composition around your waist. I'm afraid I will have too small a muscles if I continue fasting. What can I do about this? Well, congrats again, Tracy, because you have actually a victory there. You don't need to worry about really anything else. You'll continue to make progress. But this question betrays a misunderstanding, and I'm glad that this question came up. Here's the short answer. Skinny fat, that's how you look. That's how you look. Because since you've gained weight, something has happened. And what happened is you spent years of your life getting overweight, 10, 12 years, where you didn't use your muscles and you did use your insulin, your fat storage. So you started piling away lots of fat. Your insulin rose, your C-peptide rose. You started putting away all kinds of weight, but you didn't stay active. So go back to the caveman days. They stayed fit from the beginning. They went all their lives and they had very few splurges, and then they had mostly famine and then a mix in between. So their life was stasis. So here you and I are in a world filled with food. What happens? You go out there, you live right next door to a gas station, to a restaurant, to a buffet, to bars, everywhere you can go to put a whole lot of fat on your body. And what happens? You lose muscle. Same thing that happens to the astronauts. They go into space. All this talk about going to Mars, you know the bad thing about that? There's not enough gravity, so your body's going to remove your bones and your muscles, and it's going to be a horrible thing. The astronauts are finding that out. That's what's happening here on Earth because people are becoming sedentary, which, by the way, is why every one of you should be working out. But that's the initial problem. So the problem with skinny fat and with fupas and all of this is that that's how you look. You've gotten so used to being fat, your body adjusted to it, and when you take it off, that is something that is unnatural. So keep in mind, you didn't lose weight wrongly. You didn't do anything wrong. Your body is now, may or may not, depending on your age, may not have the elasticity to repair itself. Why? Because you did something that's not meant to be. A person born in the Neanderthal times, or even in a couple hundred years ago, they didn't care about abs. They didn't care about all of these videos where you try to get yourself into a certain cosmetic look. That is a vain and stupid thing that people have. What you need to do is consider your weight loss a win. And that's the difference between Joe Holman and a lot of these people with YouTube channels out here. They don't know a win when they see one. You may not be Cindy Crawford. You may not be Gal Gadot, the Wonder Woman. You may not be Angelina Jolie. I will never be Brad Pitt. You can definitely tell that. You accept these things and you move on. But that's the problem with some of you. And I have other emails here from people talking about their body image. And let me share this really quickly. The big problem with some of you is the same problem that when I go to the gym and I'm doing maybe a half mile or mile run, I want to stop the treadmill sometime and just get off. And because these two guys are sitting there, one of them is a skinny guy who looks like he's just an IT guy, and the other guy is a big mesomorph or ectomorph build, and he's got the big traps, and he's never going to look like the other guy. And I wanted to stop the treadmill on this one occasion and say, listen, you're never going to look like him. I had a friend. He thought he looked like Vin Diesel, and he thought he shaved his head. He actually got into the police academy, and then he got red flagged. He got kicked out because he wasn't Vin Diesel. He wasn't a tough guy. He wasn't. He had this image of himself in his head that didn't match reality. And everybody else around him, myself included, were telling him, hey, buddy, this isn't you. This is not who you are. But he had to have that delusion. He had to have that little moment in his mind where he said, this has got to be me. Of all of the falsehoods, this is true. That's how some of you are. And women get the brunt of this because everybody says women have body image issues. Well, guys are just as bad. Look at all of these guys today in the gyms, these gym rats, these people who think that they can put on a bunch of muscle and go out there and look huge. The truth is that certain people have muscular frames. Certain people do not. A person like myself can lift weights all the time. I'm not going to look like Lou Ferrigno. I'm not going to look like Arnold. I don't want to, but if I did, it would be a stupid waste of time. So why do we pick on ourselves? Why do we say, I have to look like this? You may be a lady who collects on her arms. You may collect in your midsection. That comes back to one word, genetics. And this doesn't mean that you can't improve. This does not mean that you won't gradually go throughout your life and get better at on your physical appearance. But you can't spot reduce. Everybody should know that. If you don't, you definitely should. But you have to take yourself where you are at. And the real problem with all of this so-called skinny fat business is that you're not accepting the way you're going to look. So, but let me give you some tips real quick on what you can do. Number one, get to a lower percentage of body fat. If you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing areas on you that you think are still too fat, and if you've listened to the criticisms of others about the comments, the input about where you should be weight-wise, to hell with them. If you want to take off another 20 pounds, take off another 20 pounds. That's the only way you're going to be able to attack trouble areas. Get to a lower percentage of body fat. It's not that hard. You're not going to lose more muscle. And for those who say you do, yes, you lose some muscle, but just like when you gain weight, when you put weight back on, you put muscular weight, you do gain some fat. Because again, your body doesn't know about all this cosmetic nonsense that the movies in Hollywood are expecting us to expect. But two, if that won't work for you, or if you don't think that's what you want to do, go the opposite. Go on a cyclical gaining program. If you've lost a lot of weight with OMAD and you don't think you look right proportionally, then go the opposite. Start gradually increasing your meal size, increase your activity, and basically kick it out of the park. You are in control. You can regulate your intake. You can start making your body gain weight. Yes, you're going to gain about 20 pounds back. If you've lost 100 or 50 or 25, you might, bulking up, you might gain back 10 or 15 or maybe more. But that's the price you pay to experiment with your body. The beauty of OMAD is once you already have the skills, you don't need to do all this again. You already have the skill set. You'll never be overweight again as long as you don't let yourself go, which of course was the problem from the beginning. You let yourself go. So, and finally, number three, realize that your rest of your life, you're always going to make improvements. I do, a lot of my workouts involve 2 sets of dumbbells, body weight exercises, and a bench. Nothing fancy. And yet I feel like I'm able to take care of my body, keep my muscles strong and in good condition just with those. I'm not trying to impress people. I don't have to measure to someone else's measure of success. And that's what some of you do. Some of you are being told, oh, my doctor didn't like my results, or basically this is a self-image problem, people. This is a self-image problem. You may look or feel better with more or less weight. You might be better at 210 or 220 than you would at 160. Or you might be better at 140 than you are at 150. It depends on you, and nobody can tell you those sorts of things. But let me tell you this. If you don't believe what I'm saying here, especially you guys who are always into working out and you don't feel like you look right. And I do get contacted by guys that have these images of how a real man is supposed to be muscular and like a 22-year-old who's never been fat. When you have been fat, you collect a little bit of fat or all at different places in your body. And those fat storage, they shrink, but they don't go away. That's the difference between people who've been fat and who are not. But Paul Dillett, Flex Wheeler, go look at the modern pictures of these people, folks. They don't look what you would call good. They look like guys who used to be mass monsters of tremendous size, and then through age and the fact that they couldn't keep what they had, they lost it. I mean, this is really kind of scary stuff, which is why I say you should treat your body the way you best feel. You should treat yourself like you'll be able to treat yourself 50 years from now, if you're young enough, or 20 or 30 years from now, depending on how long you have to live. You can't keep all that muscle, just like you can't keep all that fat. People who are muscular, or too fat do not live very long. And in some cases, people who are too skinny do not live long. You need to find your happy medium, and there's no way you can do that if you are being challenged by body image issues. You are a unique individual. You will look different than anybody else. You need to identify where your synergy comes from. What weight do you feel the best? What weight? Those of you who lost weight, by the way, great. Now start mixing that with your productivity. At what weight do you have the most energy? What does the scale say to you where you know you feel best? Even if it's, quote, higher or lower than where you wanted to be, what number speaks to you? Maybe you haven't lost all your weight yet, or maybe you have. But regardless, all you really have to do is ask yourself, where am I finding my strength? Where am I finding my synergy? When and where are things coming together for me? It may not be the way you started. And for those of you who have lost weight and aren't looking the way you want, you got to go back to what I said about recognizing a win. If you came from being obese and you're now not obese and you're now active, whether a little or a lot, that's a win. If you have now taken control of your life and you're no longer a slave to food or drugs or alcohol, this channel, I feel like I've done my job if I've even had a small part of that. Because now you're a win. Doesn't mean you're done self-improving yet, but it does mean you won. So don't ever fail to give yourself credit for what you have accomplished. This is a reality check video. Ask yourself, look at your body in the mirror every day. We all do, and we can find things we don't like, but ask yourself, how have I done compared to where I was? If you think incrementally like that, and you say, I've done this thus far, a year from now, I want to be here. If you can think incrementally like that, you're going to find that every problem that you face it's not so big a problem, and you really don't need to